Hey, honey hive. It's your girl, Goddess Dreams TK, and I'm back again with another video. We're talking about these tomatoes this week. Our focus this week is tomatoes. So, today we're going to talk about how to start growing your tomatoes. You want to search the zone that you're in, so you're making sure that you're growing the right tomatoes for your area. So for instance, I'm in zone 8B. So the tomatoes, these are some of the tomatoes that can be planted in zone 8B. You can do Roma tomatoes, you can do Cherokee Purple, you can do, there's one called Gardener's Delight. Those are your slicing tomatoes. And then as far as like cherry tomatoes, you can do, there's a Chadwick's cherry, a black cherry, Isis candy. So you want to look for those varieties if you're in zone 8B. But like I say, if you're going to grow, make sure you always research your zone to figure out what grows well in your area. And that's one of the main things that you need to know in order to grow healthy fruits and vegetables or whatever you're growing. Because a lot of times when we go in these stores, they sell all kind of stuff, but what I have discovered is that a lot of that stuff, it won't grow in your region, even though they tell you we only buy stuff for that'll grow in this region. Do your research and make sure it grows in your region, and if it does, you'll have a healthy pretty good crop or abundance of fruits, vegetables, whatever you're trying to grow. So let's get into it about your soil and how to plant. You want to find an area in the yard that's it has a balance of shade and sun, because a lot of times they'll tell you full sun. So yes, they do need full sun, but when the heat hits in our zone, in our area, it gets hot. And so when it gets hot around this time, the plants start withering because the heat from the rays from the sun is just too much. So find you an area that's kind of a balance between the sun and shade. If you don't have an area in your yard with that, then there are coverings that you can make to go over your tomatoes, really all your vegetables, because this heat it can be brutal to those plants. But anyway, you want to find that area like that, and once you've found your area, then you want to make sure your soil is like a soil that's well drained, so that the tomatoes, they don't like dry soil. So want to find like a loose soil that's well drained. And what you can do, if you're planting in the ground and your soil is good, mix some I mix my fertilizer, and you want to find a good fertilizer. You can use an all-purpose fertilizer, or you can use the fertilizers that are just for tomatoes. And what I do is mix that in my soil, because with those granule fertilizers, it take a little time for them to break down in the ground. So go ahead and toss some in there so it can be breaking down and feeding your tomatoes. And usually on the bag it'll tell you don't have to feed it every 3 months, so don't overdo it. Just put it in the ground and let it be. And that's with your granule fertilizers. If you're doing a box, you want to use garden soil. You don't have to buy the most expensive brand. You can get the cheapest brand, but mix cow manure with your garden soil, because it improves like the water retention, the drainage. And you can mix that like if you doing it in the ground and you have like a clay type of soil, mix some cow manure in it, because it'll help break that soil up, and where it can drain well, the water can drain well in it. Like I said, don't have to be the most expensive brand. You can get the cow manure as well from the store. They sell it in the bag, and it's not that expensive. It's not expensive at all. Like I said, if you're doing it in the ground and your soil is like sandy or clay, cow manure is going to be your fixer, because it has valuable amendments in it to help provide nutrients as well for your soil. You want to if you're starting with tomato seeds, you want to start, I know in my zone it's like in March, close to the end of March. That's when I start mine. Basically when the temperatures stay above 50 degrees, that's when you want to plant your tomatoes, whether it be the seeds, the transplants, whatever. that's when you want to plant them. Now you want to make sure that you're providing enough water for those for them to start out and start growing healthy. And then there's also, I use the fish emulsifier. I mix that. Now that's your water soluble fertilizer. So you'll use that. Now that you'll use, I use it once a month. So you just mix it and just kind of spray it on your soil. Do not spray it on your leaves, because the hotter it gets, it'll burn your leaves. Even when you're watering, don't water the actual plant. You want to water the soil, because that's where your roots need to grow. And when you're watering, you want to make sure that you're watering really, really good, because I found that if you don't water good, if you just like go out there and just sprinkle, that's not gonna cut it, because what it's gonna do is make your roots grow up and out, but you want your roots to grow down. So make sure you're deep soaking those the soil so that your roots can grow down. And one more thing I'm gonna tell y'all about companion planting as well. I talked about this on the other video. You can also plant watermelons in with your tomatoes plants as well, because they run, and I've done it. So people tell you what you can't do. You got to get out there and experiment and figure out what works and what does not work, because everything people tell you that is not true. So do your own research, figure it out. And like I say, planting, when you plant, you want to make sure you provide enough space between each plant so that they have room to grow. And like I say, when they get to growing, they grow like a bush, especially those little cherry tomatoes. I got some little cute little tomatoes right here. They so cute, and they good too. But you want to make sure that you give them plenty of space, and also provide support for them, because as they grow, they gonna either need to be you need to create a trellis or something to keep them holding up, because if not, those limbs will start to fall over, because the tomatoes get heavy, and they'll die eventually. They'll break. But anyway, you want to make sure you got you some good soil, an adequate amount of sunlight, shade. If not, get you a shade cloth to protect them when the weather starts to get really, really, really hot. And you can also do two you can plant one in the spring, one in the fall. We talked about that. So, but tomatoes is gonna be, it's a go-to. It's a good one to start out with and kind of get, a feel for gardening, just to see how it go. It don't require a lot. The tomato cages, they don't work for me. So, because they grow so tall, and the tomato cages go to leaning. So I just take like a string. They make these things, I can't remember what they're called, but it's like a string, and then it's a hook, and you just hook it on and then pull the string, and I tie my string around the tomato plant, and that's what helps keep them supported and hold them up. But anyway, just a little video to help y'all with planting your little tomato plants and getting them started. It's not too late to start. You can start, still go ahead and start putting them seeds in the ground, putting them in the bucket, however you want to do it. But start somewhere, because like I said, the tomatoes in the stores are nasty. They ain't got nothing on homegrown tomatoes. But anyway, I'll be back again. We'll talk about picking the tomatoes when it's time to pick the tomatoes tomorrow. But I'm wishing each and every one of y'all peace, love, blessings, and joy, and an abundance in whatever you're growing. Peace.